Moses and everyone in Israel thought they were slaves of Pharaoh. But when the portals were open and the true dominion of Egypt was read, Pharaoh was not in charge. He said, tonight I will pass through Egypt and I will judge the gods of Egypt, and I will kill the first sons of Pharaoh, and Pharaoh will let your people go. So Pharaoh was not the one keeping Israel in captivity. It was the gods of Egypt that kept Israel in captivity. And the moment the gods were judged, that night, Pharaoh asked Moses, he said, bless me. I have seen another dominion superior to the Leviathan that dwelled in the belly of the sea. And Israel received emancipation. In Daniel chapter 10 verse 20, when Daniel saw the frustration of Israel and went to the place of prayer, his eyes were open, and suddenly he saw that Israel was not in captivity to the king of Babylon. He said the prince of Persia is the one ruling over this land. And he said when he is finished, he said the prince of Grecia will come. If you can't deal with the princes, you can never take dominion. You want to be a world changer, you must devise a technology in the spirit that gives you influence in the realm of spirits. If you don't have influence and authority in the realm of spirit, forget about creating a change in your world. And I shared with us in the morning, the first time the world began to be influenced, the technology we saw that provoked influence was the technology of altars. In Genesis chapter 4 verse 25, it said, in those days men began to call on the name of the Lord, and suddenly prophecies began to break out again. We saw the same happen in the life of Noah. It said Noah found favor with God, and because of Noah, the Bible said the world was judged. What was the power that Noah had? Genesis 8 verse 20 to 22, he said Noah raised an altar to the Lord. It was the technology of altar that gave Noah influence in the realm of the immortals. And so long as he had influence in that realm, on his account, the world could be judged. Men that change their world are men of altars. You lack altars in your life, you will have no power to create change in your ecosystem. He said to Abraham, Genesis chapter 12 from verse 1 to 3, get thee out of thy country, get thee out of thy kindred, get thee out of thy father's house, come to the land that I will show you. In blessings I will bless you, and from thee shall the nations of the earth be blessed. And we saw in Genesis 12 verse 7 that Abraham raised an altar to the Lord that appeared to him. When he got to Bethel, the Bible said he raised an altar to the Lord. When he got to Mamre, Genesis 13:18, he raised an altar to the Lord. The man knew that if there is no altar in your life, your technocracy is a waste. The foundation of territorial influence is the power you generate on the altar. And so 2 Chronicles chapter 7 verse 14, it says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, I will hear them from heaven. And he said, I will come down and I will heal their lands. Emancipations, shaping of generations is a product of altars. Make no mistakes about it. I shared with you that the elite nations that you talk about today, like the Great Britain, like the United States of America, they were born from altars. If you study the story of Great Britain, it's a nation built on the foundation of priesthood and sorcery. It was always a battle between light and darkness, and the prevailing dominion is what wins. America is built on the laws of Moses because the fathers of that nation were priests before God. Without altars, no civilization can be built. Every known civilization in the world today was built by altars. Israel was built by priesthood. He said Moses went to the backside of the wilderness, even unto Horeb, the mountain of God. He saw a bush burning that was not consumed, and God said to him, go to Pharaoh and tell him, let my people go that they may serve him. When they came out, he said, teach them laws, teach them statutes, teach them ordinances. He said, as soon as Zion travailed, she brought forth her children. Isaiah 66 verse 8. Every civilization is a product of altars. And so everyone who is a world changer is an ardent man of the altar. Without altars, you cannot make any impact. At best, you will create impressions. But for you to make genuine impact, you must have authority on the altar. And I told us, the activity on the altar is not just prayer. The activity on the altar is actually sacrifice. What you put on the altar is sacrifice. Your sacrifice on the altar could be prayer. Your sacrifice on the altar could be studying. Your sacrifice on the altar could be service. The business of altars is not just about prayer. Prayer is one of the sacrifices we put on the altar, but it's more than prayer. There are many people today that require wisdom to shape their world. They need to pay the price of in-depth study in order to tap into the spirit of wisdom to be able to create a change in their world. Our generation is a generation of laxity, lackluster about issues that matter. I can assure you, you gather 100,000 youths, you can't find 10 people that are doing one thing consistently for 6 months, because there is no tenacity in their spirit. There's no stamina in their spirit. When you want to find men who can change their world, there must be a dogged consecration informed by the nature of altar that they are servicing, either by prayer or by study or by service. There's got to be an altar at the foundation of your manifestation, else you will be swept away by the wind. Hallelujah. Praise the name of the Lord. I'm not telling you what I don't know. I'm telling you what I experience. This is not fairy tale. This is reality. You don't do business on the altar, you will be swept off. And I'm not telling you something because I'm a pastor. This is not being excessively spiritual. I told them in the morning, I did my master's degree in quantum mechanics. I've studied about light. I've studied about electromagnetic radiation. I've studied about science to the deepest realm. So this is not me just acting spiritual, but I know that the natural realm is an offspring of the supernatural realm. I know the physical realm is an offspring of the spiritual realm. If you don't have authority in the spiritual realm, you cannot create change in the natural realm, no matter how intelligent you are. Elohim Adonai. Elohim.